Gavrilo Princip was a Bosnian Serb who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914. Princip and his accomplices were arrested and implicated by several members of the Serbian military, leading Austria-Hungary to issue a dour copyright march to Serbia known as the July Ultimatum. This was used as pretext for Austria-Hungary's invasion of Serbia, which then led to World War I. Princip was a Yugoslav nationalist associated with the movement Mlada Bosna, which predominantly consisted of Serbs, but also Bosniaks and Croats. During his trial he stated, "I am a Yugoslav nationalist, aiming for the unification of all Yugoslavs, and I do not care what form of state, but it must be freed from Austria." Early life. Gavrilo Princip was born in the remote hamlet of Obljaja, near Bosansko Grajovo, on 25 Julia, OS. July 13, 1894. He was one of 9 children, 6 of whom died in infancy. He was named Gavrilo at the insistence of a local Serbian Orthodox priest, who claimed that naming the sickly infant after the Archangel Gabriel would help him survive. A Serb family, the Princips had lived in northwestern Bosnia for many centuries and adhered to the Serbian Orthodox Christian faith. Princip's parents, Peter and Marija, were poor farmers who lived off the little land that they owned. They belonged to a class of Christian peasants known as kmits, who were often oppressed by their Muslim landlords. Peter, who insisted on strict correctness, never drank or swore and was ridiculed by his neighbors as a result. In his youth, he fought in the Herzegovina uprising against the Ottoman Empire. Following the revolt, he returned to being a farmer in the Grajovo Valley, where he worked approximately 4 acres of land and was forced to give 1/3 of his income away to his Muslim landlord. As he could not grow enough grain to feed his family, he resorted to transporting mail and passengers across the mountains separating northwestern Bosnia from Dalmatia in order to supplement his income. Despite his father's opposition, Princip first began attending primary school in 1903, aged 9. He overcame a difficult first year and became very successful in his studies, for which he was awarded a collection of Serbian epic poetry by his headmaster. At the age of 13, Princip moved to Sarajevo, where his older brother Jovan intended to enroll him into an Austro-Hungarian military school. By the time Princip reached Sarajevo, Jovan had changed his mind after a friend advised him not to make Gavrilo an executioner of his own people. Princip was enrolled into a merchant school instead. Jovan paid for his tuition with the money he had earned performing manual labor, carrying logs from the forests surrounding Sarajevo to mills within the city. After 3 years of study, Gavrilo transferred to a local gymnasium. In 1910, he came to revere Bogdan Angstrom, one-half Araja, a Bosnian Serb revolutionary who attempted to assassinate Marijan Varajanin, the Austro-Hungarian governor of Bosnia and Herzegovina, before taking his own life. In 1911, Princip joined Young Bosnia, a society that wanted to separate Bosnia from Austria-Hungary and unite it with the neighboring Kingdom of Serbia. Because the local authorities had forbidden students from forming organizations and clubs, Princip and other members of Young Bosnia met in secret. During their meetings, they discussed literature, ethics and politics. In 1912, Princip was expelled from school for being involved in a demonstration against Austro-Hungarian authorities. A student who witnessed the incident recalled, Princip went from class to class, threatening with his knuckle duster all the boys who wavered in coming to the new demonstrations. Princip left Sarajevo shortly after being expelled and made the 280 kilometers journey to Belgrade on foot. According to one account, he fell to his knees and kissed the ground upon crossing the border into Serbia. In Belgrade, Princip volunteered to join the Serbian guerrilla bands fighting the Ottoman Turks, under the leadership of Major Vagin Tankozia. Tankozia was a member of the Black Hand, the foremost conspiratorial society in Serbia at the time. At first, Princip was rejected at a recruitment office in Belgrade because of his small stature. Enraged, he tracked down Tankozia himself, who also told him that he was too small and weak. Humiliated, Princip returned to Bosnia and lodged with his brother in Sarajevo. He spent the next several months moving back and forth between Sarajevo and Belgrade. In Belgrade he met Angstrom one-half Ivo Rafilovia, one of the founders of the Serbian Chtnik organization, who sent him to the Chtnik training center in Vrinji. There they met with school manager Mihailo Stevanovia Kupera. He lived in Kupera's house, which is today located in the Gavrilo Princip street in Vrinji. Princip practiced shooting, using bombs and the blade, after which training was completed and he returned to Belgrade. In 1913, while he was staying in Sarajevo, Austro-Hungarian officials declared a state of emergency, implemented martial law, seized control of all schools and prohibited numerous Serb societies. Assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. On June 28, 1914, Gavrilo Princip participated in the assassination in Sarajevo of the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. The governor of the Austrian provinces of Bosnia and Herzegovina, General Oskar Potiarek, had invited the Archduke and Duchess Sophie to the opening of a hospital. Franz Ferdinand knew that the visit would be dangerous. His uncle, Emperor Franz Joseph, had been the subject of an assassination attempt by the Black Hand in 1911. Just before 10 a.m. on Sunday, the royal couple arrived in Sarajevo by train. The royal couple were then to take an automobile into the city. In the front car was Fhimara Ia, the mayor of Sarajevo, and Dr. Gerd, the city's commissioner of police. Franz Ferdinand and Sophie were in the second car with Oskar Potiarek and Lieutenant Colonel Count Franz von Harrach. The car's top was rolled back in order to allow the crowds a good view of its occupants. The 6 conspirators lined the route. They were spaced out along the Apple Quay, each one with instructions to try to kill Franz Ferdinand when the royal car reached his position. The first conspirator on the route to see the royal car was Muhammad Mehmed Bar'ia. Standing by the Austro-Hungarian bank, Mehmed Bar'ia lost his nerve and allowed the car to pass without taking action. Mehmed Bar'ia later said that a policeman was standing behind him and feared he would be arrested before he had a chance to throw his bomb. At 10:15, when the 6-car procession passed the central police station, 19-year-old student Nedelja Ɡǎʋrilɔ hurled a hand grenade at the Archduke's car. The driver accelerated when he saw the object flying towards him, but the bomb had a 10-second delay and exploded under the wheel of the 4th car. 2 of the occupants, Erich von Mierisai and Count Alexander von Buchwaldeck, were seriously wounded. About a dozen spectators were also hit by bomb shrapnel. After Ɡǎʋrilovia's bomb missed the Archduke's car, 4 other conspirators, including Princip, lost an opportunity to attack because of the heavy crowds and the high speed of the Archduke's car. To avoid capture, Ɡǎʋrilɔ swallowed a cyanide capsule and jumped into the river Majaka to make sure he died. The cyanide pill was expired and made him sick, but failed to kill him, and the river Majaka was only 10 centimeters deep. A few seconds later he was hauled out and detained by police. Franz Ferdinand later decided to go to the hospital and visit the victims of Ɡǎʋrilovia's failed bombing attempt. In order to avoid the city centre, General Oskar Potiarek decided that the royal car should travel straight along the Apple Quay to the Sarajevo hospital. However, Potiarek forgot to inform the driver, Leopold Leuker, about this decision. On the way to the hospital, Leuker took a right turn into Franz Joseph Street. Princip was standing near Moritz Schiller's cafe, when he spotted Franz Ferdinand's car as it drove past, having taken the wrong turn. After realizing the mistake, the driver put his foot on the brake, and began to reverse the car. In doing so the engine of the car stalled and the gears locked, giving Princip his opportunity. Princip stepped forward, drew his pistol, and at a distance of about 1.5 am, fired twice into the car. Franz Ferdinand was hit in the neck and Sophie in the abdomen. They both died before 11 am, imprisonment and death. Princip attempted suicide first with cyanide, then with his pistol, but he vomited the par-state poison. The pistol was wrested from his hand before he had a chance to fire another shot. Princip was 19 years old at the time of the assassinations and too young to receive the death penalty, being only 27 days short of the 20-year minimum age limit required by Habsburg law for the death sentence. Instead, he received the maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. He was held in harsh conditions which were worsened by the war. He contracted tuberculosis. He died on April 28, 1918 at Teresa N 3 years and 10 months after he assassinated the Archduke and Duchess. At the time of his death, Princip, weakened by malnutrition and disease, weighed around 40 kilograms. His body had become racked by skeletal tuberculosis that ate away his bones so badly that his right arm had to be amputated. Fearing his bones might become relics for Slav nationalists, Princip unregistered trademark S jailers took the body in secret to an unmarked grave, but a Czech soldier assigned to the burial remembered the location, and in 1920 Princip and the other OE heroes of Vidovdan were disinterred and brought to Sarajevo, where they were buried together beneath a chapel built to commemorate for eternity our Serb heroes at St. Mark unregistered trademark S cemetery. Sites of interest. The house where Gavrilo Princip lived in Sarajevo was destroyed during World War I. After the war, it was rebuilt as a museum in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was conquered by Germany in 1941 and Sarajevo became part of independent state of Croatia. The Croatian Ustaše destroyed the house again. After the establishment of Communist Yugoslavia in 1944, the house of Gavrilo Princip became a museum again and there was another museum dedicated to him within the city of Sarajevo. During the Yugoslav wars of the 1990s, the house of Gavrilo Princip was destroyed a third time. No attempts to rebuild it have yet been announced. Prior to 1992 the site on the pavement on which Princip stood to fire the fatal shots was marked by embossed footprints. These were destroyed as a consequence of the 1992-95 war in Bosnia. There is still a plaque in front of the museum at the spot where Gavrilo Princip stood when he fired the shots. Bosansko Grahovo municipality has announced a plan to reconstruct Princip's birth house in Oblj before the centenary of the assassination in Sarajevo. Weapon: Princip's pistol was confiscated by the authorities, and eventually given, along with the Archduke's bloody undershirt, to Anton Puntigam, a Jesuit priest who was a close friend of the Archduke and had given the Archduke and his wife the last rites. The pistol and shirt remained in the possession of the Austrian Jesuits until they were offered on long-term loan to the Museum of Military History in Vienna in 2004. The pistol is now part of the permanent exhibition there. Notes. References. Further reading: Wolfson, Robert. Laver, John. Years of Change, European History 1890–1990. Hodder Murray. PA 117. ISBN A0-340-77526-2. Vladimir Didija, Road to Sarajevo, Simon & Schuster, New York, 1966. Dragoslav Ljubibratia. Gavrilo Princip. Nolita, 1969. Michael Savary, La vie morte de Gavrilo Princip, Lejdome 2004. Duan T. Batakovia, Histoire du peuple serbe, Lausanne, Lejdome 2005. Pappenheim, Martin. Gavrilo Princips Bekenntnis, Geschichtliche Beitrag zur Vergeschichte des Attentats von Sarajevo. Wien, Lechner & Son, 1926. External links. Gavrilo Princip article at scunet.co.uk, Who's Who in World War I. Gavrilo Princip at firstworldwar.com, Gavrilo Princip statement from October 12, 1914 in court at Sarajevo, Find a grave. Gavrilo Princip. Prison interview with Gavrilo Princip after the assassination. A Euro.